I'm really excited to be here, and I'm hoping that I can provide some valuable tips that may help a few of you within your own careers. As Kennedy mentioned, I'm going to start first by talking about my experience as an entrepreneur and then talk briefly about roles in product management as well. To kind of kick things off, I'm going to actually start with a story about my parents because that's where my story starts. My parents came from nothing. They immigrated here to the US with the American dream, right? Nothing but a dollar and a dream. Their education didn't transfer. Their work experience that they had previously carried no weight, so they had to start from square one. They worked blue collar, part-time jobs just to make ends meet. And then in the evenings, they took English classes to hopefully find better work. They saved and saved and saved through these kind of odd jobs that they carried over the years to eventually start their own business. And they were actually able to experience their own version of the American dream. The reason that I bring this up is because it was an important experience for me that helped solidify the value of saving religiously, investing in yourself, and taking risks. Honestly, if they could do it with all the odds stacked against them, anyone on this call can as well. As for me, I started my first company when I was 29. I had never worked in tech. I had never raised a dime in venture capital. I had a very limited network, and I never started a real company. But I had an idea that I was super passionate about, and I was willing to bet on myself to try and make a dream and turn it into a reality. So what was my idea? It was to create a product that would help everyday Americans save and invest a percentage of their paycheck towards retirement. The first thing I did was I looked to build a small team. I was a non-technical founder that had never written a line of code, but I was looking to build a financial technology empire. I know that probably sounds crazy, but I knew my strengths and I also knew my weaknesses. And it was imperative to me that I find a CTO that could help bring my idea to life. I ended up networking within the fintech community in Portland, which is where the company was based. And I was eventually introduced to my future CTO and was able to sell him on the vision of partnering together to bring this idea to life. Step number 2 for me on this path was fundraising. This was tough and it definitely wasn't glamorous. There was actually a period of time where I was literally sleeping in a friend's walk-in closet just to save money. Every dime that we raised in capital, and in the beginning it was a slow and steady start, I used to pay our expenses and make payroll. And so there were many months where I never took a salary for myself. Kevin, I think Noah mentioned this as well, but as a founder, like you got to really get used to hearing no a lot. Like I mentioned, because I had a super limited network when I started out, I had to hustle just to get people to meet with me. I remember when I was raising capital, I was actually on my way down to the Bay Area, but I only had a few meetings set up. So I literally Googled, where do VCs hang out in Silicon Valley? I found cafes in downtown San Francisco, and I found another one in Palo Alto that were frequented by venture capitalists. Right? So literally, I would sleep in my friend's walk-in closet during the day, during the night, and in the morning, I would get up and I would go work out of these cafes. And while I was there, I would hear founders pitching investors throughout the entire day. And what I do is I would wait until they were done. And then as the investor got up to leave, I'd walk over and I'd just introduce myself and tell them what I was working on. I remember one VC in particular that I noticed in the cafe. And as the founder was pitching her, I ended up Googling her and I saw that she was number 4 on the Midas list, which is a list of most prominent VCs. And so as she started to leave, I was kind of slow in my approach, but she was kind of down the street when I came out of the cafe. I actually ran down the street to go introduce myself. She got a shock when I tapped her on the shoulder and introduced myself. But frankly, it was these types of actions and efforts that helped me develop a network to eventually raise capital for my company. So it seems crazy, but if I had to, I'd do it all over again. So 3 years of that, many sleepless nights later, barely making ends meet, we finally ended up launching our product to Americans across the country. And we were quickly introduced to the leadership team at Acorns, Noah, Manning, and the rest of the executive team. It's this introduction that eventually led to Vault being the first acquisition of Acorns, and the reason that I'm here today in my role. So for those of you that are thinking about starting a business or working for yourselves, you're probably wondering like how you might get started. The idea of leaving your full-time job, if you have one, to take the leap of faith to go start something on your own can be daunting. If you are ready to take that jump, I've got a few tips that I just want to share with you. One is, if you don't have an idea yet, like what is that idea? Or how do I find my idea to start a company? Start thinking about problems to solve. The best ideas come from having a vision to solve really big problems. And those problems may be problems that you experience on a daily basis. Number two, start networking. I didn't start networking until after I started my company. If I were to do it all over again, I would have started much earlier. I can't stress this enough. You might not know Jeff Bezos or the CEO of Acorns, Noah Kerner, but I can tell you that we all have some sort of network. Whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be coworkers, leverage them. Talk to them about your goals, talk to them about your idea if you have one, and try to get them as excited as you are about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Once they're hooked, try to see if they can make an influential introduction to someone else that they know that might be able to help you. Number three, understand your strengths and double down on them. So I mentioned earlier, I was a non-technical founder. It was my first time to the rodeo. I knew the one thing that I could do though was I could sell. I could sell people on a vision and recruit folks to join my company. And I could also sell investors on investing in my product. But I knew I had to hire really great people in order to bring this product to life. Number four, set really clear goals, keep them top of mind, drive relentlessly towards them, and believe in yourself that you can actually achieve them. And one of the things that I recall when I first sought out to start my company was, I had a lot of people that doubted me, doubted the idea. It called me crazy. And it was really the belief that I had in myself to weather the storm of those types of comments that were coming my way that really helped in those early days. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in your idea, nobody else will. Lastly, learn from failure. Being a founder is all about making really tough decisions and inherently learning from your mistakes along the way. No one bats 100. We're all going to make mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes. But what I tried to do was never to make the same mistake twice. And when I did make a mistake, I would learn from it and I'd be better for it. But it's really important that you don't paralyze yourself into not making a decision or taking action because you're afraid of making a mistake. So with these tips, I think it's a really easy transition into what it's like to work in product management. People often ask me what it's like working in product. Product leaders, to me, are like business leaders, right? They can be responsible for the strategy, the product roadmap, obviously, the prioritization of projects, and even the P&L. And so in many ways, being the product owner or product leader is like being the CEO of a product line. It really created a natural transition for me as I kind of found my way into product. So there are different paths though, right? Mine's a truly untraditional path to product, but there's several paths to starting a career. If you're interested in a future career in product management, what I'd say is start thinking about where you are within your career and why you're passionate about product. Depending on where you are, you might look at an internship or maybe an associate or junior product management role just to get your foot in the door. And as you think about why you're passionate about a particular product or industry, think about the products you use every day. Are there any that you absolutely love? Think about what features make that product a product that you truly care about, and what makes that product great. What recommendations would you have to make that product even better? And then think about reaching out to the company directly to see what kind of opportunities that they might have. If you're just starting out, another great way to get your foot in the door for product is to start in customer support. Support team members are amazing because they work with our customers day in and day out. They deeply understand what customers love. They understand what customers may not like so much. And they have an overall pulse of the end-to-end product experience. At Acorns, we've actually had some of our highest performing product managers come up through support. And so I'm a big fan of that path. Lastly, I think it's important to understand the different types of skills, talents that kind of bode well for a successful product manager. And so I listed a few that I wanted to share with you guys today as well. One is the ability to effectively communicate. So whether it's leading team meetings to set direction, setting goals, providing written or verbal communication to keep the team on track, or even pitching a brand new feature or product idea, solid communication skills are key. Organization. You need to be very organized as a product manager to manage your time and your timelines effectively. As any product manager will tell you, you have competing initiatives. You may be juggling multiple projects at one time. And most of the time, you're fighting against pretty aggressive deadlines. And so the way that you keep your sanity and continue to be successful is to be very organized with your time and be very organized with a way that I really like to kind of do that myself is just being very organized with my calendar. I try to block off time throughout the day to be able to dedicate time to meetings and then also dedicate time to projects. The third thing is curiosity. Product managers are inherently curious about why things work the way that they do and why people act in the manner that they do. The ability to analyze. So effective product managers are able to understand data, quantitative and qualitative data. So they leverage dashboards, business metrics. They may work with the user research team, send out surveys, do customer interviews, just to generate as much data as possible. And when they ingest that data, they then leverage that data and then create a plan of attack to hopefully try to improve the product for the end customer. Lastly, strategy. So as a PM, you'll have loads of data information at your disposal, and you'll need to make really strategic and important trade-off decisions to bring value to your customers and scale your business. It's a lot of responsibility, and ultimately, a career in product management can be very rewarding. They're highly sought after positions with the loads of responsibility and tons of room for growth. And honestly, while it might be one of the most challenging roles that you'll ever experience in your career, it can provide for a very long-term and lucrative career with tons of upside. When I think about my last 3 years here at Acorns, I've grown so much as a leader, as a product manager as well. And I think about these experiences and how it might play out in my future kind of endeavors. And so think about the experiences that you've had to date, if you are interested in being a product manager, and how you might be able to leverage those experiences towards a future career. Hopefully this has been helpful. Kennedy, back over to you.
We have so many good questions and not enough time to answer them. I will go quickly. Let's try to get to these in like 2 minutes, Randy. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. So can you recommend any product management certification programs? And kind of a similar question. If you're nervous to try product because you don't know if you'll like it or not, what are some good ways to test it out?
Sorry, Kennedy, the last part kind of cut out a little bit for me.
Yeah, that's okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one is, are there any product management certification programs that you would recommend? The second one is, if you aren't sure if you want to get into product, what are some good ways to test it out?
Yeah, most definitely. So for the certification side, there's some great lessons that you can leverage on Udemy. I think what I might do, Kennedy and Allie, is maybe send some certification or courses that I think are helpful that we can then maybe post on our site or on the YouTube channel. Um, Obviously, courses in college, university, like I took a lot of, my major was in business. I found that those experiences and that education that I derived from my schooling has been extremely helpful for me. And then in terms of like curiosity and what it might look like or how you might confirm the fact that you want to work in product, I would talk to product managers, right? LinkedIn is a great resource to try to, find folks in your network that may work in product. You might try to shadow someone. I have a lot of different people that reach out to me almost on a daily basis that just want to talk to me about, what it's like to be the head of product, what it's like to be a product manager. So I try to just cold outreach to folks just to talk about how product works within their organization. The way product works at Acorns may be completely different how it works elsewhere. So I just try to have as many conversations as possible. And the best way to do that is just to reach out to product managers directly that do this on a daily basis.